Okay, I swear to God, I would never put my hand on a woman. Never put my hand on a woman. Never did, never would. I never even yell at a woman. But the only exception is where and how they were recorded, like with Normandy Heights and with Covington Street. Tied intercity crime. Also with the lottery. With a Scalora family. A Scalora family is recorded and confessed, involved with doctors internation, involved with child abuses, that are involved with evidences reception tied to their roles with courts and with prison cliques, with crime methods where they direct people like a Heather Hansen, recorded and confessed, involved where she was directed to evidences crime roles and positions with it for other people too. So she doesn't understand that. But so no one understands what in other words, they're sending people in to recorded roles with criminal reception of evidences, like putting theater with it, specifically for a crime method to exploit their progression nature, identity as value, as a progression nature, and as a sequence nature, simultaneously, with and as the value of the Trinity. So we have CCSU involved with all kinds of Sicilian police and doctors involved with like Asian ones and like a Klotz family and like some KKK themed ones with federal crime action rules juxtaposed, like with a Dean Alford, a Frankie Reese, recorded and confessed with on off campuses evidence reception crime roles, with people with child predators and doctors with sex offenders with crime roles. With she's also tied to a prison, real or made up. A Facebook account of a person who went on and was having a conversation with the people with that crazy prison with Richard Matt and the other guy who broke from the prison. And then one of them, too, emailed me. I had nothing. Frankie Reese also communicated that she was directed to bring me to a party one time because they wanted to have that. No, that's reportedly and confessed, recorded, tied to it. In other words, this was also with her recorded and confessed roles with people, with a guy with drugs associated with the son of the Dean Judd, recorded and confessed, involved criminally. And him and Dean, I never met Dean Judd personally. He's recorded with sequence shifts, evidence, in other words, directed to wish his name. Because we have federal agencies and their families recorded, raised with crime acts that were then maintained with and as their motivations recorded, needing to criminally hide crime acts tied with the Trade Center. CCSU ties to the Trade Center, to my town's interbranch recorded and confessed database crime acts and crime acts with the state judicial branch offices, people tied to that, into houses next to it, officially and unofficially, undercovers used with roles with their overt areas, worst predators of various natures, and using the child predator acts for sustained and forced existence in children's minds tied to class placements in relationship to database, in relationship to lie progression, cover-ups, natures and needs and styles. It means to get away with it. It needs to get away with it, maintained with collusion between prisons, hospital, mental health care investigators, and courts, and interbranch families. Recorded and confessed, completely recorded, involved with past offensive demonstrations of criminal acts, and then sequence shift motivations, roles to be perpetually sequence shift. Then they need to perpetually interbranch, make mistakes on purpose when it comes down to what is needed to demonstrate this. In other words, correlation needs to demonstrate science of sabotage. Since I was a kid in grammar school, I've been watching how there was recorded and confessed on off-campus facilitated database illusion stacking tied to behavior of the people associated with behavior that was criminal, offensively, verbally and non-verbally, recorded ways and not. I put a stamp fake signature of my parents on because I didn't want to get in trouble. But it was their sequence shifts and roles with crimes between people in my class that I don't even know the names of, and people in other classes that I don't know the name of. Just quick sequence shifts, things like that, affected by interbranch families who had recorded and confessed roles with juxtaposed, later proven federal criminals, and with police forms, interbranch juxtaposed with crimes roles with and as victim predators, originally and stayed because of this, is making each branch of each position of fact treatment nature a victim predator at the same time, and has keeping everyone's sensibilities, just like with colonization, the same way. Fact treatment nature racket, pretending that regular people can't discern systemic immoral corruption with our courts, and with them needing and actually facilitating confessions and demonstrations of criminality not yet reported and of juxtaposed natures, and using the specific sexual offenders of children and of women to slander people they force to either raise their voice or react wrong, or to be indifferent, and then just take, ignore that's people, then you're a criminal citizen's nature tool for what I'm talking about, which is evidence perception crimes. Now, see, this is not letting people report things because they're pretending things about behavior. We have interbranch actors. We recorded physical worse than physical delusions, but that's necessary too, because they have interbranch physical delusions because they have areas maintaining criminally foreign influence sciences. Per method, areas maintaining facilitated lie progression, cover up needs, natures, and styles, blaming the real cause of negative value nature progressions and acts on others. CCSU is also recorded and confessed involved with the Tanya Gill, recorded and confessed with her mother, her father, her brother, other men and women involved with police, interceding with court crimes, with courts. In other words, they have court crimes. They have crimes with areas and on-off campus crime acts and natures used to cover up their life progressions tied to cases. And then even in those cases where they have judges' orders, they were directing the people to go against the judge's orders, tied to Alina's Pizza, and tied to undercover investigators associated with a Magdalena associated with her, and with real estate. People with police interbranch ties with real estate, with roles with the child sex offender corrects intercity through time, recorded and confessed by people criminally involved now as adults. See, they wouldn't let me report the recorded uses of drugs to spread rumors because they had everyone interbranch being trained, using that to keep groups, with making themselves look cool or whatever like that, by categorically making it look like they have ties to other people that they don't, and spreading categorical rumors, slander against people. I never raised my voice. Like, if they heard me yelling in an apartment before, and the one time I did, when I started the Weathersfield, because then that was before they would show, everywhere I go they show the ties to recorded connected sex offenders proven, all tied to my area, all tied to an area's crime method and acts, all recorded tied to crime acts and methods at every campus I went to. High Crest School, South State Middle School, Weathersfield High School, Middlesex Community College, CCSU, Trinity College, UConn. Even schools I didn't go to have, I didn't go to UConn, but they have recorded and confessed involved crimes with databases, with police investigators on off campuses. Also associated with Ray Clow moved into his house, and people tied to him with confessions about their ties to roles with judges associated with kids. And these are the courts recorded with witness. There are physical delusions within their minds. But see, there's no way to report originally and state what really was is not racism, because this is recorded. What was is consciously exploiting the progression nature, the value of correlation nature, of fact treatment nature. That was is the people with the most sustained, juxtaposed natures of crime formally imposed upon them. Formally. That means through the branches, areas maintained. Then through the sciences, areas maintained. Then through the branches, and always the value nature system already criminally foreign influence. Consciously, we have stewards aware that when they say that people should get cut jobs and values in relationship to jobs, that they're involved with systemic natures of child abuse and against each age of fact treatment nature with criminal justice, shared with internation families, shared with evidence rackets, database illusion stack and crime methods, drug crime roles facilitated by the people that are only there to prevent it. And like a Leahy family recorded consciously with men and women typing fake medical information, pretended people take drugs and stuff into databases, putting sick conversations into databases, and doctors tied to courts drugs clicks that they raised with victim evidence fabrication roles. You see what I'm saying? And then they're recorded attaching me and others to fake body language systemically. And this is one of the many, they have recorded with forced sustained fake care and forced sustained aggression that is also involved with various natures of untimely deaths and murders and crimes with guns, bug spray, knives, all this stuff juxtaposed. Juxtaposed also with the recorded crime method of pretending it's only undercover drama, when it is recorded used for crimes and cases that need allusions from the past, tied to various natures of courts, recorded raised it as victim predators, confessed to. Like 4 or 5 Delaferro brothers, all recorded and confessed involved with the people with Trinity College and with Joshua Stryker. I never had anything to do with my life. Eric Oliveri also recorded and confessed involved with evidences crime roles, database crime roles with people they put in my classes that were also tied to and as that put in my sister's classes and other people's classes, tied to and as child sex offender cliques. They have live progressions tied to that and to further recorded acts, crime acts with the kids and roles with them with the police forms, because they're using that to hide their other natures of crimes. So there's natures of child abuses, there are natures of elderly abuses, and there are natures of ours all simultaneous, and they already have been. So they're tied to acts already that they're aware of. Individuals individually, grouped, and together in collusion with states and areas with other nations, suits and ties in other nations that they pretend not to hate and or do hate, not understanding about through life progressions, cover up deeds and natures associated with what's his name? Eric Burgess and Juxtaposed and his wife Lucinda, reportedly his wife. I don't know if that was just his Lucinda. I believe Alvaruccio. I believe. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the right name. Lucinda. And recorded associated with Normandy Heights. Recorded confessed involved with other recorded confessed involved criminally leasing agents. Also with a brother with tied to a girl who was put in a class of mine at Central, who's tied to a Gilmore, and the Cohen guy told me that he started the conversation, forced the conversation, said that she was has a new name now. Her neighbors though in Wethersfield are also criminally involved, and with the police and with the interbranch and with the state judicial branch, with the doctors, as doctors with federal crime acts. There's a Gilmore who pretended he had a conversation with me, tied to corruption with actors before they were doctors, brought into the Institute of Living. Also recorded with the Leahy family crimes, with the Lombardo family crimes. Also recorded and confessed, involved when there was already child sex offenders tied to their cliques, and that was used to hide multiple. Well, I mean, one proven that was just sentenced the other day, a principal with the obscure pictures, but they hid what he recorded and confessed further, and they hid the wire crime shifts that interbranch actors used to hide their rape threats against me online, and interbranch police, and against others, and against children from the school with others and with themselves. Interbranch before that, and with sequence shifts in cases to hide that, because they're just keeping passions online and directing overt criminals, undercovers, and people like that to say illusions, because they're saying whatever they need to, anything they can get away with saying in the background to avoid taking crime acts reported, because they need to pretend they make mistakes, because this is also, I'm trying to report interbranch corruption. I'm trying to talk the state judicial branch officers recorded in conjunction with crime acts and cases, recorded in conjunction with their crime acts with Sandy Hook investigators and their family members on and off campuses and online, recorded. Doctors with crimes with kids, with sick federal criminals before they were in their courts with kids, and with a serial killer. Other natures of crimes. Also, someone with the same name as a Citron, which is our current Wethersfield police chief. His extended Italian family associated with Italian like police and stuff like that, and doctors with the internation ones, sick with the kids with databases, with the men and women stick lies in databases tied to their crime roles with areas. You see, if they're hiding the name of the leasing agent on Covington Street and his son, because they used him for evidence perception, crime role racket methods, and acts recorded, and they know that they were pretending other. They know that that's tied to how I caught them with child sex offender acts in the court, and with Wethersfield police in the court and out of the court and online. With two Mendez brothers, also recorded and confessed, pretending things were recorded that aren't, just writing the name of police equipment and then writing other. Also with the people tied to the Scalora family, recorded and confessed, tied intercity crimes with Wethersfield police, tied to the houses in my area, with the child sex offenders clique tied to CCSU English department through time. Multiple ways other too, you know what I mean, and so like I don't need to start talking about that. The reason they do those kind of crime acts and methods and keep those recorded natures are to keep the crime acts from being reported. To keep, so that someone could say they can only say this in the background, needing to have not done. If they whatever they say, I'm going to show you they're lying. You know what you're saying? But they're not following the rules. Won't put anything on paper because they know they're guilty. those who were raised with and as to the spots in the court, raised by recorded and confessed evidence reception crimes with retired and standing justices recorded criminally foreign influence, sick, tactically pseudo-educated. That's what's justifying poverty. That's what's blaming it on other. That's what's reliant upon the concept of war, as it was engineered to stay, relied on by evidence fabrication rules, nature rules, with the criminally re-engineered information sciences, specifically tactically to maintain areas of state sciences criminally re-engineered, blamed on other, in collusion with what is making it for shared policing when it was his inter-intonation, where it can't defend his positions with and as that, and us from what is keeping them motivated as victim predator tools, just like with it really motivated their roles with slavery, with their roles with the slavery of our founders, their roles with the crazy fact treatment laws juxtaposed with as their value, with what forced home structures, the way they could be built. You couldn't even dream of talking about other. They tactically were finishing denaturing our relationship to nature, forcing us to attack the ulterior from actual nature's value nature system, building liars to use their lie progressions, unrealized by them, engineered to roles to get facilitated together, maintained, further perpetually maintained, self-cultivated, together needing to hide it through rackets, maintaining each age of fact treatment nature, each person individually, together grouped sequentially and progressively in relationship to the crime method. So that's why we have the child sex offenders overt, which I don't even believe is really about sex. I believe, is recorded further not about that. It's recorded further that they use that as a means to bring, because the people that have it as experts on that are recorded with physical delusions and with crime natures and roles, with areas. And it is being used per the sensibilities of opinion natures, all divided to the sensibilities of spots with convictions ulterior, sensibilities ulterior from those of the Constitution needed to defend themselves. The media is recorded, directed to pretend and to hide how they're consciously directed to pretend lies about people's behavior. Per their roles with recorded crime methods juxtaposing confessions regarding federal crimes with kids through their experts associated with them, and not letting crime acts recorded, and orchestrating those kind of things on off campus, tied to the sensibilities of people being forced on campuses with database relationships to reactions to kids, forced off the records, inter-branch maintained, criminally foreign influence. And everyone just reacting, needing to share, pretending it's on how we share police, per demonstrated by them with criminality, like with the Scalora family, totally recorded, totally confessed, involved with Connecticut interbranch corruption, also tied with CCSU and with West Hartford. Joe DeMoro and Ray Collo communicated that, because every once in a while they would make confessions. And they demonstrated that one time they had me go to a place in West Hartford, and that was offensive, preemptively then, to hide their roles with proven and further sex offenders associated and confessed with the campuses, and with courts that hid one first and further are hiding more associated with that. With not just sex predators, various natures of juxtaposed child abuses, doctors associated with courts and with prisons, with crime roles with them, with database illusion stacking on and off campus, harassment of people, and with with them recorded consciously, pretending that other people are harassing others, while they're the ones doing the harassing, as a sequence shifting crime, while they're not letting the sequence shifts crime acts recorded, not letting them reported, not letting them be reported. They're not hiding means and methods. They're hiding how there and here our nations were knaves, raised as victim predator Oz, criminally foreign influenced, evidence reception natures, conviction natures, incapable of allowing correlation nature not. The courts are recorded trick fact cheat natures. They even admit it. In other words, it's a punk game. They know they make mistakes. They know people are in prison that shouldn't be. They know they need to hide the voices of those people perpetually. That's why we need another statutes, not just habeas corpus. We need statutes. Ya Allah. And I don't condone the pseudo-Islam, which is recorded through inter-campus, inter-sciences, areas maintained, fact treatment nature, relationship to reality, through sciences, areas maintained reliant as knaves specifically because there's going to be formally knaves reliant upon knave sciences. Just happen to be there ahead of time because they're using the lie progressions fluent through our nations. Fake sides, fake suit and tie nations, fake counters to it, not understanding the first part of the crime, not understanding the first part of the Old Testament. So what's that have to do with education? That is science because the alphabet was preserved by Jesus, who says he is the Alpha, he is the Omega. In other words, science knows that he is is scientifically most probably, even if you don't believe it, it's most probable that, or it's still plausible that Jesus Christ is the one who preserved English. You see what I'm saying? Because even though the church was kept because it was kept through areas maintained criminally foreign influenced campus marcias, criminally and foreign influenced fact treatment, justifications, natures to actual relationships, demonstrations of that, which is what? Not just lie progressions, negative value nature progressions, lethal hadiths. We are either what causes positive value nature progressions, evolution, or what causes negative value nature progressions, lethal hadiths, as value, as a identity, as nature, as a value, perfect value progression, which is not going to stop. It's just going to be positive or negative, forged more, because the identity of space is not positive or negative, but is coming through it, and is keeping positive and negative as the value of what is keeping more and more of the complete, of the semi-nature of the complete nature of the identity of space, gaining through and as all parts of itself. That's why we have one identity to all parts of our value. All finite, all body of value progressions, and as the overall progressions value. You see what I'm saying? Even our overall progression sequence together still has further positive or negative value nature progression and demonstration to it as what we are being forged at. But per this system that is onto itself, to all parts of itself, as that, not as any other system. And the ancients understood this before it was criminally re-engineered. It was criminally engineered because they understood this is a space-nature relationship to as a radical value of correlation that is discernible per science. But per science's areas maintained, functional to and as evidence reception, fact treatment, evaluation that is categorically sick, when they say about evidence and stuff like that, we need that data. You know what I'm saying? Use correlation. Correlation will come to the tree of knowledge, the tree of the good or evil. Yeah, I'll help you here. See, I had the unfortunate, uncommon experience. It means to share the experience so everyone can discern crime acts in databases and crime methods exploiting that, and how preemptively, how they can see how everything's going to unfold, and how they're messing it up. Every age of fact, treatment, nature, even their own kids, just to make sure they get the value nature systems BS, criminal insidious nature takes on positive collusion with that, right? You know what I'm saying? We have everything, a trick fact treatment. Thee who smelt it, smell it, deal it. When you know. So I would never hit a woman. I'm not saying there's no but and I would never. You're not supposed to yell at a woman. If you yell at a woman, you forget about your rest. The nature of your relationship goes away. You can't get it back. Especially if the woman's from another country. See, there's a Justo Kavinskis or Lucinda Alderuccio involved with crimes with Saudis. And I don't even know their names. I just know they're associated with the West Hartford, West Farms Mall, and associated with police in my town. But not the ones I know. Not the Saudis I know. Other ones associated with Nordstrom's and with Covington Street and with Normandy Heights corruption and with the deans. Also with a dean of other deans involved with what is it? Kuwaiti army tied to crimes with KKK-themed MPs and their family members with crime acts with evidence receptions with database solution stacking through time, recorded with and as their ties to proven child sex offenders, intercity tied through time and used for cases. See, that once they have reactions to things with child predators, they leave in the hands of the child predators' facilitators. In other words, sick doctors recorded with physical delusions, with crime methods, with cases, and with courts and with time, consciously involved with cramming courts, making them cramming court, wasting the time of courts, and consciously involved with forcing courts too fast, simultaneously, so they don't just, multi-front correlation nature always is sabotaged. Its proper value and progression. So note that WFSB and other CT media were indicated that they were going to use the crime method of pretending because they heard that I raised my voice. They were going to hide their crime action roles with kids on and off campuses, with family members of kids, spreading rumors and lies about others with fake news, investing them to evidences reception crime roles, with juxtaposed overt sick internation police and overt sick internation predators intercity were proven through time before they were even in their prisons and cliques interbranch tied. Also, people associated with a person named Dave that was associated with criminal justice cliques. I never had a conversation with him for a real second. He made probably recorded him walking by me or something for a second. That's all they would have. I have nothing ever to do with him, besides and to know that he is involved with recorded and confessed the racket with the criminal justice people, with the doctors, with the crimes with the kids, and with the crime methods and natures and acts and roles that show their motivations, it needs to cover it up per the crime acts with other cases, other natures of crimes, other natures of investigations, of investigators. Trade Center, they attach me to witness fabrication roles. They have recorded crime roles through time with federal criminals in the cases they attach me to fake conversations with. Also, federal criminals that were co-defendants of a former director of the FBI in a 2000, part of a case in 2006, part of a case that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. But the 2006 case was after he proved in the Trade Center context in the Ninth Circuit in Manhattan, there had been sequence shifting to post-date his dockets, not docket, I don't know what it's called. In the Ninth Circuit, there's a panel of judges we went before, to post-date it from inside the court to make it look as if it would have been handed in late. Also, in the court, recorded and confessed involved Steve Manos. Also recorded and confessed involved with other natures of police with on and off campus CCSU and Trinity College that where they're recorded and confessed involved to facilitate and criminally or otherwise affected to crime acts and roles with people that attached me to illusions in databases that hid the confessions and requests for help from students intercampus related to drug cliques with the campuses, through criminal justice rackets, used for crime roles and cover up live progressions tied to cases past and ones coming and ones that have been, at the time. Many lie. They're recorded when they're pretending passion, dishonestly, and with the crime method of pretending that's just how they were trained. Per areas recorded, maintained, criminally foreign influence sciences. So they're recorded. The police involved with the investigators involved with the news, directed to tell them to not even investigate their crime acts, and roles with evidences, crime methods like pretending to care against behavior. In other words, as an excuse to hide the worst crime acts, and the worst behavior, hiding the worst crime acts. In other words, the moral person would yell rather than willingly participate, or make it willingly allow oneself to be sown into a position where there would be perpetually no way to ever be able to report a crime. See, that's what they tried to do to me. But I kept it like that by yelling. But as I had to, because of the nature of the crimes they juxtaposed. Nature of sick actors, degenerates we have, interbranch. They wanted to make me treat it that way because they're victim predators. They wanted me not to teach about how everyone was a victim, because the way it's set up to be everyone victim predators. So the breaching method could perpetually hide behind this. The recorded breaching method. The recorded internation families with psychology, with mental diagnosis about conspiracy theorists and stuff like that. They're also recorded directing people to pretend they hear things and stuff like that demonstrably so they can keep up rackets they have with crime roles, pretending people that have more integrity than them even have mental diagnosis, have conversations with them. They're forging names to hide child sex offenders, being used to hide criminality with hospitals, investigators with hospitals, tied to the military too, tied to courts. Database illusion stacking with those courts. Drug rolls with those courts through time. Pretending other people had drug relationships to drugs and stuff they don't, because they don't follow the rules. They have clinical crimes all juxtaposed, natures of them all misprision. Everyone defending each other, refusing to follow the law. With the crime, that's with and as a crime method, with the hospital and the courts are in collusion with crime acts with internation families, will avert sick child predators, with their prisons, with the areas crime acts through time with databases, pretending things are recorded that are, but that are not, pretending they are recorded that are not really recorded, into databases, database illusion stacking. That's their methods and motivations and roles keeping motivated. Originally progressed sick natures with and as the value of the law, stewards, and all that private tied to it. As was their motivations with slavery. Sick. Not it was against each person. Color was for with the method that keep each modern nation as a knave science relationship, forced glorified, blaming on others the real causes of negative value nature progressions, which is that science areas maintained as a breaching tool, then only letting branches partake. This is fact treatment nature, slavery method before money, using money and tactically denatured relationship to nature, enforced ulterior from actual value nature system that they built, an engineering of lie progression cover-up natures, facilitated to reactions to areas. Standard, there's a crime method behind where all the shooters and the guns, especially in the urban areas, are all recorded victims. All could have been prevented. Not by having a conversation about guns. By having a conversation about the nature that holds a gun. Not the body that holds a gun. That too. That juxtaposed. And see what you don't have roles. Now, so I don't have to start using all the girls' names and women's names because they don't want to be used online. I need the crime acts. This is also a crime method, keeping people pretending they need to and really believing they want privacy because they need it though for criminal reasons. And they're preventing the people who need it for good reasons from having it. WFSB also recorded and confessed. They implied that they have. I think they implied that there's a woman. I think the woman they implied with her kids, they have involved with lie progression cover-ups because they have crime acts where they attach me to a fake sides of stories. They lied to Wethersfield parents and to Wethersfield schools, and with the minority of Wethersfield parents, men and women, involved with crime acts with kids, with courts through time, with cases, with MPs, with Justin Kovinskis and his wife Lucinda, recorded and confessed, involved criminally intercity through time, with campus database illusion stacking. People tied to her said that she kept bringing my name up in AP classes, and I never knew her because she had a crime role with people from my grammar school, for example, like a O'Brien family, and the Ray Colello, and Joe DeMoro, and the kid who came in 6th grade, Eric Klotz and Sean Klotz, his brother. They adopted a